What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video by yours truly. Full disclosure, you might hear my daughter screaming in the background. That's that dad life. Some of y'all get it, some of y'all don't. Anyways, I got one or two purposes for making this video. One, I want to show people how Jing Yuan performs in the end game, but I can't do that because I am out of resources. My resources is much like a bald man's hairline, just not there anymore. It is what it is. And so in order for me to still showcase to you how he performs, we are forced to theory craft it. Now, if you've been keeping up with the channel, I calculate things and they're pretty goddamn accurate. In fact, I usually show receipts as to silence the doubters, but we're going to do that in this video as well. But what I wanted to also say is the other purpose of making this video is because I'm sure a lot of people are on the fence about whether you want to pull him or not. Your perspective on his performance is probably polarizing. Some people think he's bad, some people think he's good, but most people, if not all, are not at level 80 with decently mid-max gear, and you have no clue as to what his performance is when he's, with that investment. Now, the funny thing is, this entire slideshow that I got prepared for you guys today is going to show you how strong he is as a free-to-play, completely free-to-play gear, and completely free-to-play obtainable characters, with the understanding that you can get somebody like Jing Yuan at least E0, and then future characters as well. So in essence, you will be able to see what a free-to-play Jing Yuan at level 80 with decently mid-max gear is going to look like. Now, you can make your own judgment call as to whether he's bad or good. I hung that argument up a long time ago with people because I realized some people are attached to an idea that they will not get rid of, so you'll only stress yourself out further trying to convince them otherwise. Now, with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off with the build, we got the lightning set, sizzling thunder. We got the two-piece relic that gives us an 8% increase in crit rate and a 15% burst or damage boost to our ult and our follow-up attacks. Finally, we have the free-to-play light cone. This is going to be at R5 because you can totally R5 this as a free-to-play player. There is a repetitive grind for it. Yes, there's RNG, but you can get this to R5 over the course of X amount of time. Now for the boots, I went with speed boots because there are scenarios where you want speed boots, period. That's like a never-ending debate as to whether you run speed or attack percent boots, but I've made plenty of videos explaining my stance on that, so yeah, it is what it is. Doesn't matter. Moving on, base attack. His base attack is obviously going to be a combination of his base attack at level 80 plus the base attack of the free-to-play light cone. That's going to give us 1,176. Now, damage percent and attack percent. From his trace, you can get 28% attack. Literally just from his traces, level them all up, you'll have 28% for free 99. Well, not free 99, the resources ain't no hoe. Rope, 43% attack percent rope. Sub stats, let's just assume you get 25%, and I lowballed that because I understand free-to-plays aren't going to mid-max that hardcore, so 25% across the span of just 5 relics is very, very achievable. Light cone is going to give us another 24% attack boost once you kill 3 enemies, which with him doing his AoE, he's going to kill 3 enemies throughout the course of a fight, and you'll eventually get that, right? Now support, let's just say you're using Natasha as the support, you get an 8%, or if some people are putting 8% on their Jing Yuan, that's fine. If you want to run the HP set that gives 8% attack to your whole party on Jing Yuan, that's fine. That's why I put it here. And then finally, for the set, we get an additional 20%, as in his lightning set. The 4-piece passive, once you use a skill, he gets another 20% attack boost, and that's going to total to 148% attack. Finally, damage bonuses, the sphere lightning damage bonus at level 5, 38.8. Light cones, 24% at R5. Set is going to be 10% as a 2-piece. Jing Yuan is going to give you a 50% damage bonus for 2 turns after she pops her ult. And finally, the relic gives you a 15% damage bonus to your ult and to your follow-up attack. That's going to total to 137.8%, or 2. Oh, sorry, boys, that's a little typo down there. A little bit typo down there. Sorry, 3.7. And I'll actually explain that there. That's actually interesting because that typo has a little bit of lore to it. I originally had a 30% damage bonus in here from Jing Yuan's free-to-play light cone that gives you a damage bonus after using her skill to the following person who goes after her. I took that out because I found out in my testing that 1-turn damage bonuses do not apply to his lightning stand. It's unfortunate, but they don't. And I'll literally prove this to you right now. Actually, give me 1 second. Okay, so this is the damage that you're going to see in the footage I'm about to show you. And this is the mathematics calculating how they got to that damage. Now, I'm 3 points off from the non-crit strike because there's hidden decimals in the game that aren't shown, but they are calculated. But it's the same exact calculations. I'm just missing the hidden decimals. Finally, down here on the crit strike, I came up with 2,249. The game came up with 2,256. Again, we're 7 points off because of hidden decimals. Finally, let's talk about what, proving my point. This buff right here is a 24% damage boost from Ting Yun's light cone, and it's activated right now. However, it only lasts for 1 turn. As we go throughout this recorded footage, after he uses his skill, he's then going to use his ult. Then the enemies are gonna like die and they're gonna do little animations. As soon as the count pops up, the buff is going to disappear from the bottom, and then he's going to deal his damage. What I did in my calculations was it took a little bit of guess and check. I took buffs out and put buffs in, and then I ended up finding out that the buff that was gone was the 1 turn buff, which means in conclusion, 1 turn buffs don't transfer over to the count. I guess by the time you get to the count's turn, the 1 turn buff expires, which is unfortunate. So this is the buff I'm talking about right here. This is the buff. Keep paying attention to it, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So the animation's almost done. As soon as the count goes, boom. See how it go away? So I then paused the screen and I said 1,110, 2,256. I came over here, I took out the 24% damage bonus, and our numbers were pretty much lined up. Again, the hidden decimal shit, you're always off like by 2 or 3 points. And then of course on the crit strike, it'll be 3 points times 2, 6 or 7. But yeah, 1 turn buffs don't last. So I didn't include 1 turn buffs inside of the damage percent bonuses here. Now I'll tell you what, I only tested that on that one scenario where I use my skill, my ult, and the count. What if I don't use my ult and I only use my skill in the count? Maybe the 1 turn buff stays. I just wanted to play it on the safe side and assume it just doesn't stay at all for the count, and that's what we did. So keep that in mind, guys, as we're moving on. Now, flat attack and crit rate. Base attack, everybody has a base crit rate of 5%. Your trace is going to give you another 22% from Jing Yuan. He has a lot of crit rate in his traces. What he doesn't have is damage bonuses, interesting enough. Now his body is going to give you another 32.4 because you're rocking a crit rate body, main stat. His relics, another 8%. And finally, we're assuming you get mid-max, decent mid-max substats, and you get another 20% across the span of 5 relics. That's not hard at all. That's going to total to 87.4%. Finally, 120% crit damage. That's only, what is that? That's 70% crit damage across the span of 6 relics. It's on average, that's 11% crit damage on 6 relics. That's not hard to do in the end game when you're mid-maxing. It's hard to do right now, no doubt about it, but in the end game, it's not hard to do. Finally, his trace gives you another 25% crit damage to his count once you have 6 counts or higher, 6 or higher counts. And then our flat attack, the hand at level 5 is 253. We assume you always get like 50 flat attack. Somehow that flat attack finds its way into our builds. And then finally, the benediction buff from Ting Yun is a 645 benediction buff, and this is with a free-to-play light cone. So keep that in mind as well. And there's a couple of more things I got to explain to as we're proceeding on, but yeah, we'll come back to it in a bit. So how much is his total attack with everything we just added up? Well, we have 148% attack boost. So you take his base attack times those and then add in the flat attack at the end, and you get 3,864 total attack. Now this attack can get much higher than this. This is literally just him and Ting Yun, nobody else except Natasha, who gives an 8% attack boost to the party. We can throw her in there, but it's like we don't have a third person in this party. I wanted to drive home the point further as how strong he is with just Ting Yun and nobody else. So he's at 3,864. Case in point, throw in an Asta with a level 10 talent. She can give him a 70% attack boost and turn that into 4,600 attack. Throw in a Branya, throw in a Secret Fox Lady. Got a good little surprise for you guys at the end. But what I'm saying is this can get way higher. All right, moving on to the first scenario. This is Lightning Susano, his count, his lightning stand at level 10, and the target enemy is weak to lightning. So the target enemy is going to take the most damage, and then there's enemies to the left and right of him that takes 25% of that damage. I did not calculate the damage that the enemies to the left and right are taking, but it's easy. You just take the damage that you see right here and multiply it times 0.25, and that's the damage that they would take. It's not hard to calculate. Finally, let's get into the math. This is his attack. This is the multiplier of his lightning Susano at level 10. This is going to be all the damage bonuses that I just showed you on the previous screen, and this is going to be our crit damage total. Finally, this is going to be the defense multiplier of the enemy, assuming we are the exact same level. If they are 10 levels higher or 20 levels higher, this is going to drop down to 46% to 45%, and your damage will drop down as well. On a crit strike, on a singular crit strike from the lightning stand, 7,429. If you don't crit, 3,032. Finally, on average, you're going to get 6,875. The average is going to be 1 plus your crit rate times your crit damage. So we take that and then we multiply it times 7, we get 48,000 if you have 7 counts. And if you multiply it times 10, you get 68.7 thousand. Again, this is just with Jing Yuan and Jing Yuan. That's some solid damage considering it's just 2 people on the team. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next scenario. This is going to be his ult. How much does his ult do? Now we went ahead and threw in Bronya, because why the hell not? Just so you can see how much stronger he gets when he has an additional character on the team. It's insane. So this is gonna be 3,864 times 2 times 2.678. We get an extra 30% damage bonus thanks to this actually being applicable with the light cone, the free-to-play light cone. It does apply to this, so that's huge. It applies to the ult, it applies to the skill, it just doesn't apply to the lightning count. Finally, crit damage, you don't get the 25% because that only applies to the lightning count. That's a crit damage multiplier that's only given to the lightning count. Hopefully that makes sense. 22.8k crit strike between just him and Jing Yuan, and then you add in Bronya, that turns into 40.6k. I thought this was interesting, right? Because if you add the 20, he's doing all of this in one turn, assuming, you know, first turn ults up. He's doing 68.7k off of 10 counts. And then you're ulting and using your skill in that same turn as well. So in essence, you can kind of view these numbers as one number because he's doing all of it in one singular turn, if that makes sense. And furthermore, he's doing it to everybody minus the lightning count. He's doing 25% of that damage. But this is still very solid damage, in my opinion. Finally, lightning Susano, target enemy weak to lightning plus shield up. So this multiplier, all of this stuff you're seeing is under the impression that the target enemy is weak to lightning, but their shields are still up. They're going to have an additional multiplier that's going to take our damage down just a little notch. It's not that big of a difference. And then finally, let's take a look at the stand damage when the enemy is not weak to lightning and their shield is up. And that's a scenario that you'll come across. Maybe you're throwing this guy on a team, on an ice team with, you know, Yang Xing or whoever the hell. But he's not, you know, the enemies you're going up against, they aren't weak or susceptible to lightning whatsoever, but you still like his AoE, so you throw him on there anyway. This is important to know. How much damage is he going to do? Well, it drops quite a bit. In essence, you kind of always want to fight like Pokemon, bro. You know, fire, weak to water. You want to fight people who are weak to the lightning element to get the most bang for your buck. Okay, now, how much damage can this free-to-play Jing Yuan do when we throw in an additional character? And not just any additional character. What if we throw in 2 foxes? Now that's all I can say about this because you already know. I can't say nothing else about this. But if you throw in 2 foxes, my man's damage goes over 100k. Now I got a feeling this is going to be coming pretty soon. But that's all we can say about that, boys. All right, anyways, I hope this brought you some kind of value, just so you can see. For the most part, I only did his stand because that's the bulk of his damage. I did show you his ult just to kind of give you a little bit of an example of what his ult's capable of. But keep in mind, guys, this is the damage between 7 counts and 10 counts. It's not 5 counts, which I hope you're not getting 5 counts because that'd be kind of rough. But hopefully this brought you some value. Y'all take care. I'll catch you on the flip side.